Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Monday night's Paranormal Question of the Day. We'll be right back right after a short message. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Question of the Day. We do live podcasts with live guests, live paranormal investigations as well. We do product reviews, so sit back, enjoy the channel, get popcorn, get a soda, and I'll see you soon. And we are back. So I hope everybody's having a good Monday. It was good for me. I had a day off despite going to the hospital for a little bit. So I had to get a procedure done today. So that's all good. Didn't hurt. And hello. Welcome. All right, so we have Mr. Wayne with us tonight again. As you know, that he's been on the last few shows with me, and probably going to be a staple on the show for a while, as long as he wants to keep doing it. And then you can follow him, John, and Abby at Small Town Paranormal, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all that stuff. And then we also got Dead Squirrel in the Woods with us tonight. We have Mr. Nicholas Lapointe, and we have Lea with us.
Hey there.
Hello.
How y'all doing tonight? Ready?
We are ready. I just, saw enough of Nick this weekend, so
should I blurt him out? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's one of those things. You get to see someone so much, and then it's like, oh man, you again. So we'll start with Lea. So what got you into the paranormal, and when was your first paranormal experience?
what got me into it was just interest in the paranormal, really. Growing up, being interested in it, and your parents always telling you those ghost stories around the campfire when we're camping and stuff. Me always wondering if there's like some truth to it. And of course, they're joking around, and I'm going, "Oh, really? Did that happen?" So, instead of scaring me, it was more of a, "Really? That's cool." So I got kind of into it. I would say my first paranormal experience. I don't have many, but I would say the earliest one I had. My son, who is 19 now, but when he was 2, he would have the night terrors.
Ooh.
And would wake up screaming out of nowhere all the time. We got kind of used to that. He also was more of a sleepwalker at times.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have like this toddler, and he's got pitch black hair and very dark eyes. He's Native and Hispanic, as well as all of my Germanness, but he took on more of the darker look. So when you see a toddler with its black hair and dark eyes walking around at 3 a.m, it's kind of creepy. But at the time, my husband and I would take turns as to who's putting him back to bed that night. And we saw him came into a room standing at the edge of our bed like usual. At this time, I got woken up and said, your turn, go put him back to bed. So I grabbed his hand, walked him back to his bed. And when I pulled the sheet back, there's my son laying in his bed. And there's nobody standing next to me anymore. So that was a very creepy experience. To this day, I kind of wonder what that was. Every once in a while, I play it off as, it was just dreaming or whatever. But my husband's like, no, because he woke me up too. And I saw him standing there and told you to put him to bed. So somebody was there. So a very creepy experience there.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, your turn.
Well, I've always kind of been into the paranormal. I watch shows like The X-Files, kind of your paranormal shows in the 90s and stuff. And then I went to a Paracon in Milwaukee a couple years ago, and ended up getting connected to the Sheboygan Asylum, and doing tours would probably be when I did the tours there would be one of the first experiences I actually had. So
Kind of late for you, but that's okay. You can start anytime with this paranormal stuff.
right.
I mean, it's just some start younger, like me, 7 years old. Wayne, I believe you started when you were younger too, weren't you?
Mine was about 18.
18. Okay, so I'm the young
18.
one in the group. Start early.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm a special person. Just kidding.
Well, you're special, Darren.
I knew you were gonna say something.
That's a way to put it.
That's a good way to put it. Wayne, what do you want to start with a question?
Oh, me first, huh?
Yep. You're my co-host.
Putting
I
you on the
know.
spot, Wayne.
Great. Well, I like to start out with this one because it's kind of fun. What's your favorite piece of equipment?
Oh,
The dead bell.
yeah. I'm very connected to my dead bell. It's a
what she said.
very fun.
Darren.
It's a very fun old school object that you can use that any generation can interact with. So I've found that's one of the most effective ones that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I like to go with the simple one, the cat ball, that doesn't, that it's just sitting there and it goes off and there's no cat hitting it. So, and you don't see it
Yeah.
move. That's a very good sense that something's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think cat balls, do you feel that they're overrated?
No,
Anyone?
I don't think
Bueller?
so. I think they're the simplest tools to have, and for those who are like watching funds and stuff, a cheaper tool to have.
And if you don't have a lot of money to spend on the stuff, they're a very reliable tool.
Right. Now, Wayne, you were making a Ouija board, correct?
Me? No.
I'm trying to figure out who
Not
that
me.
was. Making a Ouija board that had the cat balls on there as for all the letters were. And then let it go off like that.
I don't remember who that was.
I think I know something Moon?
Travis Moon?
Yeah,
Travis Moon has one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But there was somebody else I knew that was making it too. I can't remember who it was now. Dang it. But yeah, I mean, I've seen them being creative and doing it that way. But you see everybody doing cat balls. I always look for something to do different that nobody else does. And now tell us a little bit about the dead bell. Why is it such a unique item? And do you think you can manipulate it with another bell in a way?
The only time there's sensitivity on it, but it's basically a wooden box with an old school like hotel bell on it that works as a bell, but the electromagnetic part of the box underneath, the spirits can set the bell off that way without physically touching it. And it is a item that is all generations would have seen. And so when you go to some of these older places, it is a very good way to connect to them. And actually, in our last investigation, we had a very intelligent conversation with the dead bell where we asked a question, and right when we were done talking, it would ring, and it would ring once or twice, and it would stop.
And Darren, you kind of saw our Facebook Live with that. We would ring it once for yes and two for no.
So it's a very good yes or no.
Yeah.
And I did at one point. I know that she had the sensitivity up like medium way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, turn it down all the way because I know that's how Josh Hurd has his at Malvern.
Mhm.
He's one of those guys that doesn't like. He wants to like really prove that this device works, so he turns on the lowest sensitivity as possible.
I go medium low. I don't go the lowest possible, but I go just like a little turn, so it's in between low and medium. And that's kind of where it was last time, and we had some pretty good back and forth.
Yeah.
When we were in the servants' quarters, I had actually turned it to in between low and medium. I didn't go as far up as medium that time.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, it was
definitely not on the
interesting.
lowest, kind of in between.
Right. Wayne, got something you want to add?
That's one that dead bell's on my list. I've been trying to get that for a while. But everybody on Etsy that's selling them, I never get them on time. It's always like
Oh,
it's
I got
always
mine
like
on-
super long.
I got mine on Ghost Stop, so
Oh,
Yeah.
I might have to look on there.
No, I know it goes for 200 on Ghost Stop. I know that.
yeah, something about it's around there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I mean, you can buy now and pay later if you have
Mhm.
PayPal. I've done that already.
Right. Yep, I've done
So
that.
that comes in handy, and then you get $2 and get so much
Mhm.
knocked off,
Yeah,
that type of deal. But it comes relatively quick when it comes
it
from
does.
Ghost Stop. I think it's what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Most of my stuff is within a week or two. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So that might be the route you might have to go. Because with the Etsy, I know you were waiting for almost 2 months for yours.
And
Mhm.
I've bought off of Etsy, and some of the quality on Etsy,
yeah.
some of it's good, some of it's bad.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So
yeah, it's very wishy washy, and then you can't really get stuff off of eBay anymore because it's just you have no clue. Same thing. So I put that under Etsy is like you have no clue of what you're getting yourself into.
mhm.
Mhm.
But with our guest we had last week, FIB Paranormal, Forever Investigating Beyond, they make stuff, and so we did talk about that last week, and they're fairly cheap, like $60 for a certain REM pods. I think it wasn't it, Wayne?
Yeah, so it was $60 for a RAM pod, $60 for a music box,
Mhm.
and then they can customize any of them. Like they can put your logo and all that stuff on it for $120. Then it's
I,
like personalized. But they were really cool looking.
Yeah.
I actually made a music box with a coffin box, and you can get your own music card and download your own music onto it if you want. You can get all the stuff on Amazon to make your own stuff. I've
Oh wow.
done a little of that, but it gets time consuming.
It does.
Yeah.
And the blind here can't make his own shit, so
Mhm.
so I buy it and that's it, enough. But so let's get into the locations. Is there locations that you don't want to go to anymore, or don't care to go to anymore? And then there's some that are like, hey, I haven't been there, I want to be there. This is my favorite location that we've been to so far. Let's start with Leah.
I don't know of many places that I wouldn't go to with it again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for my own personal reasons, I probably would not go to Farrar again.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, Amy.
hey, Amy. Of most of the locations we've been to so far, my favorite has been. I'll always have a love for Brumder,
Mhm.
Brumder Mansion in Milwaukee, and that's even with we didn't get as much there. Rarely do we get anything there, but it's mainly the historical piece of it. I love the home.
Mhm.
And then, as of this weekend, Asher just kind of moved its way up there. I loved being at the Asher Walton house. There's
cool.
something to me, there's something about the old classic haunted houses. I love going to like prisons or asylums or things like that, but something about the old fashioned haunted mansion type thing, that's really what I enjoy. I love
Mhm.
stories of, it was a dark, rainy night and they were all in a mansion and all this stuff started to happen. It's just like a history love of mine. Just love the old mansions. So when
I
I can
agree
find
with that.
houses, I will go.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, there are sometimes haunted houses that are more creepy during the day than they are during the night.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think I cut you off there. What is it that you want to go to yet?
Um, well, Edinburgh's been on my list for years, so I'm very excited for that trip.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be
And
fun.
yes. And then Melbourne, I want to hit. And that one is planned for Halloween. Halloween
Yeah,
night will be
we're
there.
a week before.
Yep.
Mhm.
Um, those are my two big ones that have been on my list for a while, and we're hitting both of them this year. So this is gonna be a good year for me.
Now I gotta come up with a
Cool.
new list.
Yeah.
Nick.
Um, some places I wouldn't go back. I don't. There's not a place I wouldn't go back really. Um, I mean, I've done the Sheboygan Asylum many times now already. I've seen everything there is there. I think pretty much. So that's probably one I don't need to go back to. But one of my favorites, our time at Brumder. Um, we even got to see a fun show there, and
Yeah.
the last time we were there, we investigated downstairs, and we think we got Joe the Enforcer.
Joe the Enforcer. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, he was apparently he was a nice guy, but he knew too much, and he met his demise there. And we were talking with him, and we had a drink with him, so that was kind of fun. Um, and we actually got to see a fun show of Two Brothers, One Mind. And they
Mhm.
Oh,
did like
okay.
mind reading stuff, and they were super fun. They wouldn't tell us their trick though, so a little disappointed there. But um, I would love to do the Stanley Hotel.
Hmm.
I had to break the bubble, but you can't investigate no more.
Yeah.
And I know the Fister doesn't really embrace it either,
Yeah,
but that would be
we
cool
know
if they did.
floors 3 and 6 are haunted.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they did. I do want to get to Penhurst. That's
Mm.
Oh.
that is on my list. And um, I do enjoy the mansions over the like your asylums and your prisons and stuff. I think they have a more homey feel, and you get you're there with the people that live there,
Hmm.
which it's kind of cool. And you can get their trust and have communication with them. So,
Mhm.
so I kind of like that environment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Oh, prisons are pretty cool too.
yeah. The prisons are pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Never done a prison. But we've done a jail, but not a
Yep.
prison.
Hmm.
We're going back to another jail.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but
But a prison sounds really fun.
Hmm.
What did you
Yeah,
guys think of the prison when you did it?
I have not done an actual prison yet. I would like to,
No.
but I also want to get to Eloise in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
That I watched the thing on TV about that, and that was quite interesting. Just the concept that they had a haunted house in there, and um, it just more happened as they brought that energy in,
right.
and it'd be interesting to see that.
I mean,
Yeah.
Broadhead does that too. but that's only in October.
No.
I don't think he's. I think he's ending that though. I think he said he's gonna do like they're gonna do like a horror museum. Yeah, horror museum and stuff.
Okay.
But I don't think they're doing the haunted house anymore.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
I suppose it got to be too hard to do with actors and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ron loves making his masks and stuff. He just had a picture up with a bunch of different ones today.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Wow. That's that's pretty cool. I mean, Ron does that type of stuff. He won't do the haunted stuff.
Mm-mm.
No, he's not into that too much, like Bill is, and that's okay. I mean, you don't have to be. I mean, I think more stuff happens to you when you're not into it,
Mhm.
but
Mm-hmm.
that's just my opinion only. Wayne, you got a question?
Put me on the spot here a lot. I got a
Yeah.
couple written. So you asked a lot of them already. I had like 3 good ones written down.
Hey, I don't have a piece of paper. Just fly off the top of my head.
You've been doing that. I'm a first time podcaster here. I don't know how it goes.
You learn not to have notes anymore.
One thing I was gonna ask. Oh, to add on to your cat ball thing too. Do you, or not the cat ball? Well, so I put a cat ball in our living room
Mm-hmm.
because one day I wanted to test the theory. Like, okay, maybe they just occasionally go off once in a while. Like maybe that's like the theory.
Right.
We had ours in the living room for probably 4 weeks, hasn't gone off once. I'm like, okay, so it's pretty solid evidence then
Yeah.
that those are pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you think about the flashlights, like the flashlight game?
There we go. There's the hard question I was waiting for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not very respected in the paranormal field. I can tell you that.
yeah. Some people think it's not. Yeah,
I mean, I can see where if you put it at a certain spot, if the flashlight moves just enough, it would turn on without anybody turning it on.
hmm
But I guess I think it kind of goes with the people who say they hear or they can go in and they can sense what's in there. It goes on your reputation. If I think that is something you could manipulate, but that's based on your reputation.
yeah.
You can wear those things out enough that they just turn on their own.
hmm
I mean, I suppose you
100%.
can manipulate it a little bit in a way.
Yeah.
hmm
But I
That's
think
really
they
hard
can.
for me to decide because I want to say that I've seen. Well, we've all seen the shows like Ghost Hunters and stuff,
Mhm.
and other shows that use them.
Mhm.
I actually stopped watching shows because, not that I don't believe them, it's just being in films myself and, in the theater world and independent films and stuff.
Mhm.
I always sat and wondered how much of this is rigged up for the ratings. And going
Yeah.
on many investigations that we've been on, we typically don't get a lot. Obviously, spirits aren't there to put on shows for us. And you may not get anything the one night that you're there versus somebody who's there all the time and gets it all the time.
Mhm.
You're there for one night. Who knows if you'll get something or not? More often than not, you don't get anything when you go to an investigation. You have to try a couple times.
Right.
hmm
And when I see the lights going on and off on almost every show, it's like, how is that possible that you're getting it this often? Every show there's something. And that really kind of started killing my idea for watching these shows because you never know what's being set up or not.
Mhm.
Or, they say, well, a door shut down the hallway. And my first thought is, all right, well, what cameraman is down there, or who bumped into something behind the scenes? Like, it's always those
Yeah.
things. It kind of ruins it for me. So I just kind of stopped watching it because I just get more. I ask more questions than anything.
Yeah.
But we've seen, Nick and I have seen the last podcast we were on. We were watching her use the light for.
And in that one, we did see the flashlight move.
Yeah, we saw it move on its own, and it
Mhm.
turned on, which I thought was really interesting. We have a little mag light, and I tried using it this weekend. Nothing really happened with it, but it's even hard for me to turn it all the way at times. Like I have to put some pressure onto it and kind of turn, and it's like, how are we getting an entity to do anything with that? It's gotta take a ton of energy to do that.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, I use two different methods. I mean, I have the Maglite method. We've used it at a jail up in the attic. Me and my wife were up there, and we were talking, and we had a pretty solid, good conversation. When we asked it to go on, it would go on. When I asked it to go off, it would go off. Now, I do have that on a video on YouTube. So there, if you look, so right there is good confirmed evidence as how it works. But I'm like, okay, so you're right. We don't get that in every location because it does take time for spirits to warm up to us anyway. I think that's why we prefer to start doing 2-night investigations more, to establish ourselves the first day, and then in the second night it ramps up a little bit more. So, but I also introduced like the touch button, where they actually have to physically push a button to get the light on. Is that harder? Yes, but you've seen how at Edinburgh, where we had checkers thrown, we've had other things thrown. So if they can do that, and if they can mess with walkie-talkies that we had, I can't see why they can't be able to push that button.
Right.
So that's kind of my worker way around it. But the thing is I still like the method because I think the method works good. It's just people have no faith in it, and
Right.
Well,
I think that's where your reputation goes into it, how you use it.
Right.
Like when you watch the shows, they're looking for stuff. You don't see their fails when they don't get anything. All you see is the highlights of all the good stuff
Right.
they got. So,
I mean, that's just how most of the shows go. I mean, they're there for a week, and they get to condense it down to an hour show, and then that's what you get.
Right.
That's why I kind of I only stick to one show that I watch. I really don't watch much of anything else anymore, except for because we all do it on our own.
Yeah,
it's more fun.
I watch Ghost Adventures just for a couple laughs once in a while.
Yeah.
For the entertainment purpose, but not for the ghost hunting purpose, I guess.
Right. I like their responses and how like excited they get, or when they act freaked out and stuff, and you're like, really? It's not that scary.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron's got something to be scared about now.
Right?
Oh,
My goodness.
So
I always say there's more fear in the living than there is the dead. So,
And I have those Aaron moments, but
yeah, we send them in. You're the guinea pig this time.
yeah, I'm always well, go in and check that out. Okay, thanks. I'll just go look.
I mean, John doesn't really. He doesn't take too much to go somewhere on his own too much.
Once in a while, he will.
Yeah.
And it's cool when he does because they like to mess with him.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
they do.
He kind of draws in some energy, I think.
I think so too. I think he's got a lot of stuff with him that really amps up what happens, because he's a very jumpy guy. If you'll find out in May how much of a jumpy guy he can be. But
I mean, I'm sure Leah will have challenges for me.
Always.
Oh, I'm
Always.
I
sure.
mean,
Even though you didn't
inside-
do the last challenge I gave you.
I think
Well,
this. Go ahead.
I mean, you had me go into a hole in a wall in a basement and sit in a.
Oh yeah, I was live. I was on the chat when you were doing that.
But yet you
Yeah.
wouldn't crawl into the bathtub of the servants' quarters. Like,
But you well,
He
you had
wouldn't
me
do
lay
it.
on a. You had me lay on an autopsy slab too. So
I've done that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Where was
so,
that at?
Broadhead.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I laid on the embalming table there a few
Yeah.
times.
When you say the servants' quarters, is that a different location?
Yeah, that was
when we
this
were at-
test weekend
yeah,
at the Asher Walton house.
yeah.
That sounds like a really cool location. Another team that we were on with was talking about that one too.
Yep,
They said
that
it was
was
really cool.
FIB, Fib Paranormal.
FIB.
Yeah, it was a great location. Loved it, and definitely planning to return.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Is that Indiana?
Wait.
That's Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the.
Small town Indiana.
Yeah, actually, if we get down there, I think it would be a good way because I think all the other ones are along the side of going there, like ISS and that creek. I forget what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Creek Village.
Billy
would be cool
Creek,
to
yeah.
most
Billy
people,
Creek.
because there's so many buildings.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
walked
think
ar-
that'd be really cool for a 2-nighter.
Yeah, we walked around Billy Creek when we were there.
That was the weekend we did Indiana State
Sanitarium.
Asylum.
Yeah.
Sanitarium. Yeah.
What do you think of that?
We didn't get anything going on that night. Oh wait, I'm lying. We did. That was when so I've used REM pods in pretty much any investigation, including my first team that I worked with always had REM pods out, and it would never go off. Like I thought they were crap because they were never going off, and I was kind of done with those anyway, so I never cared about them. But we decided to put one in the tunnel next to where the morgue would have been. And then we left it there, and then we went into the morgue, and we're just reading through like papers that were left there and stuff. And the REM pod was going off in the middle of the tunnel completely by itself. And I think I got way too excited because I had like this giggle, like, oh my gosh, the REM pod, and I like went running. I was so excited to hear that thing go off. And then
Wow.
we sat at pretty much by like there was a chair that was sitting in the tunnel in the entrance of the tunnel, and we would watch it go off. Like, that is so cool. So we started walking down there and looking for anything else that could be making those noises. And then this really cool guy that I was with, Nick, saw a bat, and he was done for the night. He wasn't going to go anywhere.
Come on, I didn't want to rake it in and say, "Come on, let's show your teeth."
Anytime I see a bat, I say nope.
I'm done. Yep.
Blind don't see him anyway, so I keep going.
That was my excitement at Indiana. Was something in the tunnel had our REM pod going off, and it was the first time for me ever hearing a REM pod go off, and I was extremely excited.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Kind of like when we did the YMCA thing, the Roadhouse. We were up on the third floor, and every time we walked away, the dead bell would go off. Something else would go off. Whenever we weren't anywhere near it, and we're walking in the hall or something,
right?
That's when the spirit would just set something off and go, "Come back over here," and then they'd go quiet. You'd walk away, and they'd.
It was like two different hallways on the third floor of the Roadhouse, and one hallway had the REM pod, and it would go off. The other hallway had, I think, the dead bell.
Yeah.
And then that would go off, so we'd go over to that hallway, and then the REM pod would go off again. So we were really kind of chasing this thing in circles. It was quite, I'm sure it was laughing at us the whole time.
Oh, yeah. It had to be.
I think a lot of things laugh at us when we're in locations and we just don't know it. You know, like these spirits are like, haha, look at these idiots. They're going that way and we're over here. I was thinking, as you're talking about challenges and stuff like that too, Edinburgh is going to be a location that we'll be handling probably differently now that you two are coming with us. So that'll give us 6 people, and now that will be a good challenge where we all could go one spot, and do our solos and see how that goes by ourselves. And I got walkie talkies too, so we can use the walkie talkies, and figure out if they do something on their own again, so to speak. I know we want to try the red room, green room, or red room. Was it
Blue
red
room.
room? Was it red room, blue room? Right? Yeah. We wanted to try that theory out, even though we kind of know that it's how the sun comes up and where the sun ends, type deal. But we still want to try to debunk that what Destination Fear was thrown in there. So there's gonna be lots of different things that we could think about throughout the next month and a half before we get out there and kind of go over some stuff. I did mention, Wayne, that one of these nights, like on a Thursday night or something like that, where we can do this again and have John and Abby part of us.
Yeah.
And then we can all just start talking about Edinburgh and kind of figure out things what we want to do.
Yeah, because there's so much. I mean, the basement's a fun area. Freaky.
Are there spiders?
Really, all of
Might be. I don't know.
Oh man.
one gigantic one.
Probably the same ones I send to Leah once in a while.
If there were big spiders, you wouldn't see me anywhere near them.
You won't be going out there. Come here, crawl me.
No.
Yeah.
That's where we'll put you in your solo investigation then.
Absolutely.
Well, if I get new eyes out of it, I don't care.
It's fun.
I'll be the Spider-Man.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. We'll definitely have to, just like I said, we'll communicate and get all that stuff down, and I will make another call just to make sure I know what prices are and what each person has to bring for money. I know I have not done yet. It's been a little hard to do that. This coming up April, I do have to get the $250 deposit in. So,
Alrighty.
but other than that, so what is your views on provoking? And is it something you would do? Is it something you won't do? Is there a certain type of time to do it? Do you think it's okay to do it? Nick, you go ahead first.
No, I think that I think that provoking, you're going into their home. So would you go into somebody living, go to their home and provoke them?
Depends on the person.
When you're visiting, if you're and you're visiting, even you're visiting somebody's home. I don't think when you go somewhere they want to talk about how they got where they are or their history. I mean, there's a time to talk about that, but there's also, I think you should be genuine with them and talk with them, and just sometimes all they want to hear is, do you prefer pizza or tacos, or just the things that maybe they enjoyed doing when they were alive.
Yeah.
I would think if someone asks you the same question all the time, you kind of get sick of answering that.
But there's always a different answer, though.
Yeah. So I try to go in and just kind of feel the room out, and I don't provoke anything. I try to keep it simple and try to have fun with them.
They don't have fun with you first.
Yeah.
Wayne, what do you think?
I don't think so. I'm kind of with Nick on that one. It's like going into somebody's house and saying, "Hey, thanks for inviting me over, but I hate you." Like, it's kind of it's kind of like I don't know, poking the bear that invited you over, basically.
Mhm.
True. Leah?
I guess it depends on what you mean by provoking. Are we talking going in there and doing the "you better talk now" and start poking fun at them, or provoking as in encouraging them to have a conversation? What do you mean by provoking?
I'm not talking about the Zach Baggins approach. I'm more like you, you know the one where you tactfully to be tactful provoking, tried to get a conversation started if there was none started.
Yeah.
Because I do, but it's tactfully. Like I won't go and like insult anybody.
Okay.
That's not my game at all either. It's just more of like let's try and push, but not push too hard and be more tactful. So it's like it doesn't make you come out to look like a bad person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean something like that is I'm cool with. I've heard other groups kind of pull the "well you ain't shit" and stuff like that just to try to get an anger almost response because nothing was responding earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really into that.
You know, it's kind of like if you go to a jail cell and you got a nightstick. Okay, you walk along that jail cell, rushing that nightstick along the cell. That's to me is being tactful to get like, okay, there's a guard here. You're trying to act like a guard and doing a nightstick. To me, that's tactfully provoking, but it's not being harmful. It's not being disrespectful. It's just letting you know you're there.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing. So, which also brings up the other thing, which I did at Baraboo, dressing up for the location. Um, do you feel that if you dress up for the location in the era of that location, where it was at its heights and stuff like that, do you think you get more energy, more paranormal events happening? Dick, you want to go with this one?
Yeah, I think if you dress familiar to them, yeah, they're going to be more apt to talk to you. They're going to trust you a little more. They might think you're from that time frame and interact more. I also like to have objects that are a little bit more their time era to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
so that instead of holding a cell phone out and saying talk into the phone, they might be from like the 1930s and not even know what a cell phone is.
Right.
Mhm.
Very true.
That's
Very.
yeah.
Go ahead, Wayne.
We ran into that problem at Brumder, where we we used the music box. We put it out, and the obviously the from when whoever was resides at the Brumder when they were alive, obviously the music box and all that stuff didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as prominent, so we put it out. We're like, can you just step in front of this box and it'll play a song for you and stuff? And we didn't hear it at the time, but when we replayed the audio, after I asked that question, you hear, "Are you out of your mind?" And it was like a woman's voice saying, "Are you?" And I listened to that and I'm like, oh my God. But I'm like, yeah, that makes sense because they probably have no idea what that is.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm. Leah, what is your response to that question?
Oh, I for sure would think that if there's something that they recognize or could connect to,
Mm-hmm.
or it brings back memories for them as well, they would react more to it. Just like items that they may have used or seen in their time, drinks that they may have had, cocktails with their friends or whatever. I would say if I were a ghost right now and you showed up in like a 80s outfit or talking about the Backstreet Boys when they first started, I'd probably join right in that conversation. So be like, yeah, I remember the Backstreet Boys. You'd hear me on all the EVPs. I'll talk all about it. I'm thinking, especially if you bring up some of the stuff that if you knew the family or the person you're speaking to and what they were like in life, and you bring forward some things that would remind them of times that they had in their life, they would be more apt to communicate.
Right.
Like a good example, Darren, one of my first investigations with you, the asylum in the tunnels, and we were just joking around talking.
Oh yeah.
And the conversation got a little out of hand, but
It went a little
when
south.
the topic went a little south,
Whoa.
the equipment started going off, and we were getting interaction with the spirits.
Oh yeah. That's what the spirit was into, though.
Yeah, they liked the conversation, so they jumped in.
Yeah. I mean, that we went south. We went way south. We went beyond Florida.
Oh, you.
It
We went to the
was
deep south.
interesting.
That was
I mean,
deep south.
Yeah, it was deep south. I don't think we could have pulled ourselves out of that one.
No.
But the spirits were having fun with that. And in fact,
Yeah,
I think
they
we put something in the light fixture, I believe, didn't we?
Yeah. None of your conversations do that, Darren.
Yeah.
None of them really go
well,
north.
it's easy to do so, though. You're right on, Corey. Welcome to the
I'm not
show.
sure I ever had that kind of conversation, but I'm very intrigued now.
It was interesting. We got out of hand. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I think Darren holds back a little bit with me. What the heck? I'm just going here.
Well, sometimes we gotta do that, you know.
It's always when you're out with the guys.
Yeah, it gets pretty bad once in a while. But Wayne, you got a question you want to throw out there?
I just wrote one down because I thought about one mid sentence here.
Okay.
So I think it's kind of a general question, but I think like antique shops. So we like going to all these different antique shops and stuff, but I mean, do you guys like going to like antiquing and stuff like that? And like, do you believe that objects there can be like haunted and can have stuff attached to them?
I antique. I love going antiquing. Do I believe an object can have something attached to them? I don't know.
You don't bring a K2 with you?
Huh?
You don't bring a K2 with you?
No. I do collect creepy looking dolls.
Punt.
Oh yeah.
Punt. And I have an office space where I'm in now, and part of my office space that's off camera has a collection of my dolls that I've collected from different antique stores. Old broken dolls, stuff like that. Just ones that just look creepy and awesome. Mm-hmm. I will bring home.
Set it on fire.
I mean, nothing's happened yet.
You...
Do I believe that something could be attached to an item? Maybe. I guess I'm not yay or nay on that. I've never seen such a thing. But
what do you bring along on your investigations all the time?
I bring Estelle with me.
I bring Abigail.
Okay. See?
He brings his crazy doll that makes the cat ball go off and makes me run, but
so you don't believe in attachments, but the cat ball goes off and you run.
Because something's making the cat ball go off on her lap, and it's freaky, and it was behind me, and I'm not facing it, and yes, I stood up and ran away.
Okay.
We're not supposed to run away.
And my husband's watching this, and he's doing creepy as fuck.
I was wondering who that was. Hey, Mike.
I just think like with the attachments, my thought was like you're bringing maybe like if somebody that you're taking care of, your mother, someone passed away and you're taking all of her stuff, like that if you choose to like send it to a thrift store or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
all of her objects are now there, and like maybe she was really attached to something. That's where I'm kind of going with like, I always wonder, you know.
Well, there could be that one place that nobody goes to that sends all their creepy shit to, and then
I mean,
we happen to go to it.
I would
You know.
say that you can get energy into an object from somebody. Like if you have all their possessions and you like the estate sales, if it was a coveted item by them or something, they could have residual energy in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you could sense that energy. Like objects
Yeah,
do get that.
I'm definitely not a nay or a yay. I'm open-minded to it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's one of those things I haven't witnessed, so it's hard for me to say yes to it. And I'm one of those, I really need to witness it myself to, just like when people say, you know, a spirit touched somebody or scratched them.
Right.
I've never had a spirit touch me nor scratch me. So do I
Yeah.
believe that it happened? Sure, but I'm still very skeptical of it until it happens to me.
Right. So Mike was saying that your dolls are terrible.
They are not. They're awesome.
He's being too sensitive now.
That's
You don't
what
like my dolls either.
I'm not a fan of dolls. I'm not a fan of clowns. I'm not a fan of none of that stuff. But I guess if it helps the situation with the location, then why not? I mean, I'm going to go with it. You know.
Mhm.
I mean, you're talking to a guy that uses plasma balls and Tesla coils, and I said coils, not testicles. And so, I mean, I get out there with a lot of my stuff and my my trigger objects and stuff. But you know, it's dolls are dolls. I mean, I get over them. Would I still punt them? Yeah, I'd still punt them. I mean, I wouldn't hesitate. But so let's talk about the Usher Walton house and that investigation. What prompted you to go, and just kind of give us a little bit of the backstory of the house and how everything went.
So Asher Walton, Asher was originally from Pennsylvania, had moved to Indiana with his family. Didn't grow up as a rich kid, so to speak. I wouldn't say they're necessarily poor, but more middle class. When he went to Indiana, he eventually he met Julie Wolfe, who was the daughter of quite a prominent figure in that part of Indiana, which was Atlanta, and married into the family. And he became a co-owner or partner with his father-in-law of a merchandise store, and eventually became the sole owner of it when father-in-law stepped aside and retired and eventually passed on. He also got into the lumber mills and a grain mill, and he did work his way up to become a very wealthy man and prominent figure there in Atlanta. Started the first bank there, the first United Church there. So the family was well liked and well known. Enough so where we read a news article when he was about 88 years old prior to his death. They were reporting that he fell and hurt his nose when he was walking home from somewhere. So it's almost like, oh, we saw, Taylor Swift and she fell down. Well, in this, it was like, oh, we saw, Mr. Walton and he fell down because he was walking with his hands in his pocket like he usually does, and he tripped and fell. It made news. So the stuff that happened in his life was pretty prominent enough for everybody that they want to know what's going on with him. Kind of like a celebrity of his own little town. He passed away in his home at 3 a.m., 8 years after his wife passed away in the same room, also at 3 a.m. So it's very interesting.
Two coincidence.
Yeah, very interesting coincidence there. They had 6 children, but 2 died at birth. And It's unknown if they died in the home or while the home was being built. Some things I read was like while the home was being built. Keith there is one of the lead investigators. His group runs the location there. He was very unsure if it was while they were in the home or before they were in the home, but 2 died at birth, and they had 4 children. And at one time they had 3 generations living in the home. So it was Asher and Julie, and then his daughter Rose was living there with her husband and their children. So his grandparents, and then their kids, and then their kids, all living in one home. They had a housekeeper, and we were able to see like the servants' quarters and go up and down like the servants' stairs. And their son, Edgar, died in the home. And sadly enough, that happened when he was 50, and it was a sudden death. And was definitely not expected, and happened only about a month after he had his first baby with his wife.
Jeez.
So, sadly, died right around, was not able to see his child being brought up.
Was that 3 a.m. too, or no?
No. Housekeeper died there. There was a carriage driver. I want to make sure I had the word right. Carriage driver passed away.
Yeah, it was a carriage driver.
A child died in the nursery, not Asher or Julie's child, but they believe it was like a family member, like either a niece or great niece of some sort. And then a very extended family member came to the home not too long ago and told Keith that there was a child that died falling down the front stairs. Of course, when we were talking to possibly the housekeeper this weekend, when we were doing the bell,
I was on the live with that one.
yeah, I was telling that story, and we got an immediate no answer as I was trying to tell that story. So it's not documented. Mm-hmm. It was just something that was said from a very extended family member, decades later. We don't know if it happened or not, but according to the housekeeper, if you want to believe the bell that she rang very adamantly twice, it did not happen. So we don't know. But a lot of death in the home. However, the family, there was nothing like sinister or scary about the family, just a well-known family that passed on in their time. And there's some that just are lingering in the home.
So now, today, is it just more of like a showcase house where you could take a tour at, or does someone actually live there?
No one lives there.
Okay.
The owner, the current owner, when he got it, he had his office in there, and he had his own experience in there, and he said, "Nope, I'm going back to my regular office," and he shut the doors for like 10 years. And then Keith and Jess came along and encouraged him to open it up as a investigation place, so you can rent it like for a night, 2 nights, stuff like that. And they actually have cameras in the rooms, in the dining area that the family would have. They have a computer, and it has all the screens, so you can actually, if you have a group of people, you can designate someone to watch the cameras to see if anything happens, and as a backup nice. Or whatever. And you can see all of them. The system is locked, so you can't go back. But if you do have a time frame, something happened, you can always message them, and they will get the footage for you. So they made it
caught a lot.
Yeah,
and caught a lot on that camera, including that dining room door opening on its own and like slamming open into a dresser that was sitting there, and it broke the stained glass.
Wow. Now, Wayne, go ahead, Wayne.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were going to say something because we were talking about cameras.
No, that's kind of what I want to invest in, is something like that where you can kind of bring a monitor with you and set these cameras up, and you can see while you're investigating. So you can see stuff in real time instead of having to go back. But I haven't found the the ticket yet, so I'm trying to figure out what we could use for that. Because that'd be
I think
fun at
it's-
Edinburgh.
It is
Yeah.
fun. It's a pros and cons to that because the last group I was with did have a camera system. Excuse me. And everywhere we went, we would set up the camera system. The con with that is how much time it took and get
Yeah.
there to set up these cameras. I mean, we would spend so much time setting up these camera systems. And then you really need to have somebody that designated to be watching the cameras. It got very difficult when there wasn't enough people. And it was always like, well, we'll watch the recording. Well, then why put them up in my viewpoint? Then why don't you just have like your handheld camcorders and just walk around that way if you're going to review footage anyways?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you have somebody designated that can sit and watch, because at one point I was able to sit and watch cameras while they were investigating, and I was able to see a time where I saw a head or a shadow of a head poke out of a doorway and come back in, and I was able to radio the group and say, "Who's in that room?" and did anything happen? And that happened to be at the same time that one of the ladies there had said that she felt a presence like near her or past her. And I happened to see a head come out of the doorway and go back in. So it coincided with each other. So it was good to have that back and forth. So they come in handy. It was just a pain to put up all the time. And finding places to put them up and then trying to get them to stay in one spot, because not every place has like a random hook where you can just hang it up. You have to like duct tape it up there somewhere. And that got to be annoying. But
Yeah.
and then the
No,
cleanup
I get it.
afterwards.
I get it. I mean, at a jail that I was at, I did use Wise cams. You know, we had Wi-Fi available, but you know, I think Wi-Fi, like we talked last week, I think is probably a no-go for a lot of these locations.
But Darren, you also have the cameras too, where you can you can watch them on your phone. That would be fine too.
Yeah.
Something cool like when you can.
So the DJI cameras I have, the only bad thing is I have to be in the same building with that person. That's the only bad spot. So if I like say, okay, now with that home, Asher Walton house, it would be okay because it'd be all in that same house. I wouldn't be going outside. But yeah, it's like I was testing it out here at home. I put the camera downstairs in the basement, and as soon as I walked outside my house, it was gone. It totally disconnected. So, but yeah, that's something we can also look into and see what we can get done.
How did we pull that off at the Trinity Church when we were there? Remember when we did that?
Well, I had it running. I had it recording is what I was doing, and then we walked away.
Okay.
And then I was able to go back, look at the phone, and watch the recording. That's the only way I was able to do that.
Too.
Yeah, we can.
That would be
You
a
could
bad
skip
idea.
ahead and go backwards, all that stuff, and pinpoint. Well, okay, this happened here. We can shorten that video up and say, okay, this is what happened. You know, we could set it to, you know, how short the video is to get to the point, and then save it. You know, so it does. It can happen that way too. So that's stuff we can work out. So how did the investigation go and stuff like that? I mean, it's just, is it a place that you need to go like more than 2 times, or is it someplace that does it change each night? I mean, how is it different from the first night to the second night?
For us, we got kind of lucky. We had 2 nights. So the first night, we didn't really get much. Leah did hear a loud bang outside, like in the nursery or in the hallway at like 3 a.m. I don't remember her waking me up and asking me if I heard that.
But I did.
She did, and she went back through her tape or her recording, and it was on there. And then we just kind of hung out the next day, doing our routine, getting lunch. Keith actually came by with some e-bikes that he had to set up, and we interacted with him. And then that night, that's when we got the housekeeper with that really good conversation.
Mhm.
And after that, we actually got some conversation on the porch. And on the other end of the hallway, where we were actually told, "Why are we up?" And we asked, "Are we up too late?" And we got yes. And we asked, "Should we go to bed?" And we got a yes again. So we're like, okay, I guess you're saying we're done investigating,
Yeah, because
and
you got the stick figure on your SLS
I
camera
got a stick figure on the SLS camera
that was
in the
hanging out in the
hallway.
hallway
It
while
was
we were
tall.
getting like a tall SLS figure while our bell was going off.
Oh wow.
So I don't think it was a child. It probably was it could have been maybe Asher Walton. Why are you up? It could have been the housekeeper saying nobody should be up at this time. Like,
Yeah.
Thinking the kids are up and
Because
telling
she
us
didn't
that.
seem to want us to hang with the kids because we were talking about playing with toys and we had candy for the kids. And right away, we got the double ring with the bell for no. And we're like, oh, no, we can't play with the kids. It's like she really didn't want us to be messing with kids. But one of the claims is you can hear kids running up and down the hallways.
And that could have been the loud bang, one of the kids, the first night.
Yeah, I could not figure out where that bang came from. I went back into the nursery. Nothing was out of place. Nothing had fallen over. But you can definitely hear it in my recorder that something crashed right around where my recorder was. And there's nothing out of place. And I thought maybe I dreamt it because it shot me straight up as soon as I heard it. And right away went to Nick. I'm like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? And he's like, did you hear something? I'm like, yes. And then he was gone. He went back to sleep. I was like, all right, maybe I'm just hearing things or maybe I dreamt it. Like I wasn't sure what that was. So I just went back to sleep and checked the recorder the next day and there was the noise. I'm like, see, I knew I heard something. It's there.
I don't remember her even trying to wake me up. So
That's funny. So when the cameras went off, when you got off live, anything else more like happened beyond that, or is that just like okay, that was it? We had your
No.
live fun. Nothing
we
came off of the 3 a.m. type of deal. Did you walk into their room at 3 a.m. and see if you could get anything?
We went down to the porch afterwards. They have a huge like wraparound porch.
Mhm.
And we were sitting out there and he actually brought the bell and the spirit talker out there with us. And the bell started going off. And when the bell went off, the word servants' quarters showed up on the spirit talker. We were like, are we speaking to the same person we were earlier? And we got a positive response to that. Then we asked about like, are you doing some chores out here with us? And we got a positive response with that. Some talking about the lifestyle of a housekeeper of a well-known family, feelings about that. And then after that, I think we went inside. We went to play a game. We grabbed a deck of cards out and we started playing a game, trying to entice maybe some children to come out. Nothing happened downstairs at all. So we decided to go back upstairs to the hallway and try again and see if we can get anything. And that's when he started getting the stick figure at the end of the hallway. And I put the bell at the end of the hallway there and the bell started going off.
And going on the porch, I had gotten a cigar earlier in the day and we invited Asher Walton out to come and enjoy a cigar with me and see if we could draw him out because he was known to be a Mason and he would have the full moon meetings there, so he did entertain at one point. So maybe on the chance that he would enjoy some tobacco, see if we got him, and then that's when we got the housekeeper instead out there. So
I almost felt like she was kind of following us, or maybe we were following her and that was her routine.
That could be
outside doing some chores and we just happened to be out there.
I'm thinking it was to keep the kids away from us.
To
be honest.
So going back, what would you guys do different now?
I think with the SLS camera was really helpful.
Hmm.
We only used it that once, and we caught
Well,
that figure. I wonder if
we
we would have used
we
it.
used it the first night. We used it the first night, but I didn't catch any figures. I
First
wasn't
night we
getting
started
anything, so I
over.
turned it off.
Okay.
You think you bring different trigger objects, or you keep the same stuff and bring it?
That's a
Hmm.
really good question. I don't think we would have done anything different. I almost think having Keith there and us helping him do the bikes and stuff probably helped us more because
Hmm.
they know Keith now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Keith and Jess had lived in the home for a little while before moving into their townhouse, and they had a lot of experiences to the point where, yes, they're investigators and this kind of stuff doesn't scare them off, but they also need to get some sleep.
Right.
Their sleep was disturbed many times
So
because of the activity in the house. But I think having Keith there and just having the interaction with him, a positive interaction with him, and laughing and joking and stuff probably helped at least somebody want to be interested in chatting with us.
yeah, it opened the energy up. Plus, it was a rainy day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it rained the whole day on Saturday. Um, I think the only thing different is I probably would pay attention more into some of the nurseries and other rooms. Like we were in Rose's room for a little bit, and we mainly stayed in the hallway.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering if I probably would want to do more rooms versus outside of the room in the hallway.
There you go. There's a plan.
I
Someone's got a plan.
really wanted the kids. That's why I was focusing on the hallway so much. I was like, I would love to hear the kids run up and down. That would be so fun to hear.
Right. I agree with that. I mean, anytime you get anything with a child, it's always to be a fun, experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's those that are out there that are like, oh no, all the children when they pass, they're immediately up in heaven. They don't stick around. I'm like, no, there are tons of child spirits out there, whether you want to acknowledge it or not.
Right.
And that's just the way how I feel about it. But each person's different. They investigate in a different way, and they think a different way. So, and that's what makes the paranormal field interesting, because you have all these different dynamics and all these different interesting ideas that we could put together. So, Wayne, do you have any last questions you want to come up with before we wrap it up?
Yeah. Any experiments you guys want to try in any of your locations that you visit? I'm kind of one that likes to experiment with different things when we go to places. So just a question for you guys.
I probably would want to experiment more, possibly with the Estes method. Used it in my last group. I can see where it comes in handy. I struggle very much with the spirit talkers like that, just because of the noise. I like my investigations quiet, and when you have one of those boxes, it's the constant changing of the stations that gets almost annoying to me, and then I'll miss anything. But I have seen positive Estes methods happen, and I've also seen people do it completely wrong, and it would turn me off to the whole thing. To see a good conversation with that would be really awesome to witness. I don't know if I could really be doing it though, because it would drive me nuts listening to that.
Well, Small Town Paranormal does it very well.
Good.
Yeah.
So,
and I've heard candles are a good source, and you can use the fire to get responses. That'd be interesting to learn, but or maybe even a certain scent, and see if you can get them to acknowledge the scent that you have,
Mm-hmm.
to identify intelligent conversation.
that would be interesting, yeah, because we get a lot of phantom smells, when we go to these locations. And we always can't pinpoint where it comes from, why it's there, and how it turns out to be.
Right.
So it's a very interesting paranormal event that happens, and when it happens, it's like, okay, who is it? Let us know,
Yeah.
you know. And if we could get through an EVP, that's great, and they could tell us who it is. We can move along more with the story,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Now here's what it just popped in my mind for Edinburgh. What's the best way to put this? I have blindfolds. What we
Aaron,
should,
That was the best way to put it. I had one.
If you say handcuffs after the blindfold, no.
Wade will bring the handcuffs.
Try a different opening.
I was thinking about doing this where we can use the blindfold. I think I have a couple of them, but we could try the tactic where we can put the blindfold on any one of us, lead them to a room, and just let them sit there for a half hour with the blindfold on and see what happens.
And what is your goal with that? Are you like looking to heighten a hearing sense or
Hearing, smelling, feeling, touching. See if you get touched. You can ask any question you want, you know, but you're solo blindfolded, so your vision sensory is gone. So now you don't know what room you're in, but just to see what happens and what comes out of it. Obviously, we'll put a camera in there with you, or maybe even put a REM pod in there with you. But that is one of the things it kind of popped in my head what to try on. Yep, sensory experiment. Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
So, you know, it's also kind of like watching 28 Days Haunted, where they did Shane did the water deprivation type deal. Now, I'm not opposed to being one to stick my head under the water, see if something happens, because I don't want to drown. But I think you're just laying in water is what he's doing basically, and then seeing if that water, because we know water is energy and all that stuff, to see if that would trigger anything. But I'm not big on that.
Okay.
So. I'm not bringing a swimming pool either to test it out. But yeah, that's one of those. Go ahead.
I need a bigger car for a swimming pool, so yeah, not happening.
Yeah,
I won't be able to do that.
I don't have enough breath to inflate one either. Wayne, anything else you want to add to that? You think that's
we did
what?
so I just think back to what we did at the Trinity Church and school and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we should try that again at Edinburgh. So we set up a chair with a walkie-talkie.
Yep.
And we put like 4 cat balls all around the chair. And then we went into the other, because we had 3 buildings we could investigate.
Correct.
So we went in the other building and just used the walkie-talkie to ask questions through the walkie-talkie with nobody in that building, to see if we could get some responses like from there, or if maybe they could like manipulate the walkie-talkie or something. That was a cool one.
Yeah, and I think that being live with my phone with the DJI camera with it, we might be able to do that in live format.
Okay.
And that way, each one, yeah, and each one can ask questions too, because with how many walkie-talkies we'll set it up with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. Well, thank you guys for being on tonight's show. Nick, how can people get a hold of you if they got questions and they want to ask you about paranormal stuff?
We are actually on Facebook under Dead Squirrel in the Woods Studios or Studio. And you can find us on YouTube at The Veil. And we talk about serial killers, fun facts about death, UFOs to Bigfoot to everything paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And Leah's actually our serial killer expert.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So we do a thing where we do creeps and cocktails, where we make the cocktail from where the popular cocktail from where serial killer's from, and we talk about creeps.
And there's plenty of them out there.
So next month, or actually, in April, we're going to do a 3-part series on Albert Fish, is it?
Albert Fish.
Yep. And then...
Guy.
Oh, you're going fishing.
And...
Yeah, Corey, definitely check us out.
And that's one way you can...
Thanks, Corey.
That's one way you can get, and then you can also put comments on the YouTube feed if you want, or on the YouTube videos. And then we are on Facebook as well. So,
yep. And on Facebook, we put links to our videos and then pictures of our events, and we go live in our investigations. We record from our investigations as well. So our next episode will actually be the from the Asher House. We recorded there for a little bit. And then, April will be the 3-part series of Albert Fish. We just finished Ed Edwards. And the month before that, we did Eileen Warnos. Mm-hmm. So every month I do a deep dive into a serial killer and discuss psychology and what could have turned their minds to a life that they chose to have. And I have some background in forensic psychology and certifications in, it's a long word, criminal neurology or neurocriminology. Sorry. Just got my certification in that not too long ago. And we just kind of deep dive into the mind of a serial killer. So I'm really looking forward to the Albert Fish series because I've been wanting to talk about him for a long time. But he has so much to him that we had to do it has to be broken up into at least 3 parts. So
it has to be a special.
Yeah, we're pretty much dedicating April to him.
Yeah, so we finished the current season last week. So then we're going to do a special on Albert Fish, and then we're going to start back up with the 3rd season in May.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Have you ever done an episode? It kind of became popular now with the Netflix. I think it was a Netflix special on it, Fox Hollow Farm.
No.
Not yet.
Have you?
No,
I've heard
really?
it.
That's a huge one. That's out of Indiana.
Okay.
Herb Baumeister was the one that is kind of the main guy on that one. Had a wife and kids, but had this secret double life. And they found probably, what did he say, 52,000 bones buried in his backyard in the woods. He had so many acreage, whatever, that he would he had this strangulation fantasy or something. So he to get off, right? So he would strangle these guys that he brought back, and he would end up killing them. And he would take them out to the backyard and bury them in the backyard.
Dang.
Interesting.
So yeah, they found 52,000 bones or something, and it's even on the news. There was huge news stories about it. It happened in the 80s, I think.
Huh.
Something like that. But yeah, that would be a good one for you guys to look at.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you done one on Dahmer yet?
We aren't.
Dahmer is on my list. I'm giving him a minute because there's been a couple other groups that have just recently done podcasts on him. Then Netflix did like their whole thing.
Mhm.
I'm giving that one a second, but he is another one that I will be talking about because I've followed his story pretty intensely. Read the book his dad wrote. I'm definitely wanting to do that one. I just feel like he was such a hot topic for a minute that I was going to give it a break and then come back to it when later. I don't know. I would say when it dies down, but it probably never will. But
No.
as of right
Yeah.
now, like everybody's kind of focused on him. So just giving that a second.
The one I really want to research right now is Jim Jones.
Yeah, you do.
Oh yeah.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid. I mean the Flavor Aid, my bad.
Flavor Aid. Purple Flavor Aid.
Interesting. Leah, how can people get a hold of you?
Same way. I monitor the Facebook page, so if anybody ever wanted to reach out on Messenger, I'll see it right away. And yeah, we're on YouTube, but Facebook is probably the best way. If you follow us on Dead Squirrel in the Woods, then Studio. Sorry, I didn't add the studio in there. Dead Squirrel in the Woods Studio. Follow that page. Message at any time. It'll be me that will be responding.
Okay. And Wayne, how can people get a hold of you, sir?
Anywhere on so we have Facebook, Small Town Paranormal on Facebook, Small Town Paranormal on YouTube, and Small Town Paranormal 9 on TikTok.
There we go. So, thank you guys for joining us tonight, and we'll be back next week with a new guest. And then from there, I'll be back to my normal every other Monday schedule. So for Nick, Leah, and Wayne, I'm Darren. So long, everybody, and see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.